Hey everybody, so obviously I'm not on the PCT as I did or mentioned on my previous video. Today's the 7th of April, so it has been about 14 days since I put out that video, and I've done one hike with olive oil and my son-in-law here in Murrieta, California. It was about a 5-mile hike, and it was actually pretty nice. It was pretty nice. I thought it was going to be flat because it's pretty close to the city, but it was up and down and up and down and up and down, and it was really nice. It was actually really good to get out. I didn't vlog it. I haven't really felt like putting any vlogs out. I'm here in Murrieta, California, and ever since I did my last video stating that I wasn't going to go. Hi Olive. Olive Oil just walked in. You want to say hi to everybody? Your hair looks beautiful. Come on. There's Olive Oil here somewhere. Anyway, we're not on the PCT. I'm not on the PCT. And since I've heard, or we were told from the PCTA not to go out there, I've only done one hike. So I haven't hiked in about probably, I'm gonna say 3 weeks. Yeah, probably about 3 weeks, I'm guessing. Anyway, this is one of my other hobbies. For all of you guys that are my ex-Navy shipmates, I first started playing the guitar in 1980. I don't remember who it was I bought it for $20. And I started learning how to play the guitar back then on the USS Davidson F-1045. That was my first note that I learned how to play, which is A minor. Anyway, I'm not on the PCT right now because we were told not to, asked not to, and it's gotten so bad. I mean, I live here in Southern California. It's gotten so bad. My daughter, she is an RN, works at a hospice and also at a nursing home, and they have some coronavirus issues there. I'm very concerned about her going there all the time. My son, he works for a hospice as a CNA, and my other daughter-in-law is an RN that works for another nursing home, and I'm an LVN right now. Because of the Pacific Crest Trail, I took time off, and it ended up being a pretty good idea, pretty good thing, because I was able to take some time off and self-isolate. And this, guys, is really no joke. It's a very serious, and you guys know this, but there are some people that are taking it a little bit more lightly. But I just want to thank everybody out there that is off trail and that is trying to do the best that they can to self-isolate and combat this coronavirus that we're dealing with right now. It's a very serious thing, obviously. So many deaths, so many people that are suffering, and our supplies, you know, I think it's kind of a wake-up call. Kind of a wake-up call that you know, we here in the United States of America, a lot of times we have this tendency to think that we can overcome everything just because. And all of a sudden these wake-up calls come every now and then and unite us as Americans, and right now as the whole world, in this pandemic and trying to get through it. And so I just want to thank everybody that's putting their best foot forward and trying to do the best they can. I know it's difficult, but anyway. So here I am playing the guitar. I'm not very good at it, but it's a lot of fun. So yeah, we're going batty. So as I stated, I've only done one hike here in Merida, a 5-mile hike, and I didn't vlog it. I just didn't feel like vlogging. My food bag is still in my backpack. I've taken some other stuff out, but like my sleeping bag, and because I don't want to be all crunched up in there. My puffy is out. A few other things are out, but some of the things are still in my my backpack. I might do a video saying this is what I had. Am I ready for my first 4 days? Because everything was ready to go. But it obviously it's not. And so one of the things that I've seen. One of the things that I've seen, since some hikers are still going on the Pacific Crest Trail, and this is not a video saying get off, or anything like that. I'm not, I would prefer that they would, because I know like I stated, I have family members that are in the medical field, and I know a lot of my friends are in the medical field, and they truly are in harm's way, and I could be called at any given time to go step up and get in there, and I would. So I know the danger is there. But one of the things that I have seen, there has already been a few rescues by SAR. And I know there's one lady here in Temecula that her husband is part of the sheriff's deputy and does search and rescue. And she is not very happy about the fact that hikers are still out there, putting her husband in danger. And so there has been a couple of things that has come to my mind. Now, even though I've been hiking for a long time, even though I've been hiking for a very long time, it doesn't mean that I'm an expert or anything like that. Because I'm not. I do, like everybody else, has a certain amount of experience. There was a death the other day. A young man named Trevor, may he rest in peace, and condolences to his family. He, after being asked by his dad to not continue this hike, he did continue it, and he fell down at mile 169.5, which is Apache Peak. It's between Highway 74 and Saddle Junction, which I did another video going up to Saddle Junction. And he slipped. He didn't have any micro spikes. I believe he only had trekking poles. Now, I learned the hard way I learned the hard way, like many people do, about snow. It's one thing is going to snow in a resort, and another thing is going into snow when you're out there in the wilderness. Completely different thing. One of them is a little bit more of a controlled environment, and the other one is not. The Pacific Crest Trail is not a controlled environment, even though people might argue that by saying that yes, it is a trail that is very well marked. Yeah, but you're still going to have the blizzards, you're still going to have the snow, you're still going to have the creek crossings, you're still going to have the river crossings, you're still going to have the wildlife out there. You guys might notice that I like this. Anyway, so one of the things that came to mind, I was on one of the forums online. I've been on since last year, since 2019. And one of the things that I often hear is, or see, read, as I'm looking at this forum, so one of the things that I often see is people saying, am I going to need microspikes before Kennedy Meadows? Or am I going to need an ice axe before I get to Kennedy Meadows? And there are people that respond to that and say, no, you're not going to need an ice axe before Kennedy Meadows. You won't need one until you get close to Four Star Pass. They actually say things like this. I've heard one person say, you might need one. I only need one about 100 feet in full range. So you might need one after Idlewild. This is the kind of thing that I find kind of upsetting. In one of those threads, I actually put down, I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't tell you what you're gonna need 4 months from now, because this was put somewhere in January or December. I don't remember when it was that I read this. And I've been reading it. Last year I also read the same thing. Very similar questions. And I put down, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what's gonna happen 3 or 4 months from now, what day it's gonna be, how the weather conditions are gonna be that day, because it can change from day to day, from week to week. And how, when you're gonna get to a certain point, is it gonna be in the morning, is it gonna be in the noon? Is it going to be consolidated in the morning when it's hard and firm, or it's going to be all slushy? Well, that's what happened to me last year in February in 2019. I was over in trying to get up to Cucamonga Peak from Mountain Baldy Road up through Ice House Canyon. Both Olive Oil and I were trying to do that, and there was only a handful of people that were dumb enough to try to do that, and I was one of them. We chose to turn back, because we really did think that it was dangerous, and we were not able to come back in time. Going up, we did a little bit of post holing, but we were able to go up with microspikes and trekking poles. I didn't have an ice axe, and neither of us had an ice axe. And we went ahead, and when we were going up, there was a little bit of water coming down on a trail from the snow that was melting, but not very much. It was pretty consolidated, although there was a little bit of post holing. And then I go up. We were trying to go up to Cucamonga Peak, trying to get out, and the slope was too high, and it was just not good enough. And I told all of them, well, you know what, I think we just came unprepared. We don't have crampons, we don't have snowshoes, we don't have an ice axe. And not only that, it's getting kind of late, we're gonna get stuck. And there's still a long way to go before you get to the top of Cucamonga Peak. So I told her, you know what? We need to retreat, we need to get out of here. So we did, and on the way back, the trail, well, we never saw a trail, we just saw footsteps, and we made our own footsteps. And on the way back, I went down, because it was slushy. In the morning, it was consolidated pretty hard. It was consolidated, and in the morning, and at night, in the evening, afternoon, it was probably about 2 o'clock. We were trying to go up and down, trying to find a place to be able to make it through. And then we saw an area where we thought it was a slope. I saw a small little avalanche that happened sometime during the day when we were gone. A small, I mean very small. You could see it. You could just see the avalanche that had covered somebody else's footsteps that had obviously gone through it before. So I tried going through there and making footsteps so that Olive Oil behind me could go ahead and follow me and we could make it through. And it was so slushy that my microspikes, they get packed, they don't grip. So they're worthless at this time. And my foot just slipped down, and I slipped down. I did have enough common sense, I guess I would say, although foresight maybe, I don't know, to get my hands out of my loops of my trekking poles. And as soon as I started going down, I hit it with my knee, and I started sliding, and I slid my hands down the trekking pole, and I just punched it into the snow, and that prevented me from getting too much speed, and I was able to climb little by little, climb back up. If I would have gotten more speed, I would not have been able to. The wrists are just not strong enough to hold your body up when you're in a steep incline. It's just not, it's not the proper tool. As many technicians say use the right tool for the right job, and trekking poles to try to get yourself to try to self-arrest may work. They worked for me, but I was very fortunate, and that's not the right tool for the right job. And ice axes. And at that point, I probably should have been using crampons instead of microspikes. But luckily, we were able to go back up, and after glaciating down and going through different areas, we made it back. So the point that I'm making is that as I was saying earlier, that some people say, "Oh, you're not going to need microspikes or an ice axe." San Jacinto Mountain has had more fatalities in it than any other area of the Pacific Crest Trail, and it's considered a desert. It's not a desert. Mount San Jacinto is not a desert. It's in a desert area, but it's a mountain 10,834 feet high that has a lot of snow in it, and it is a mountain the size of those mountains that you see in the Sierra Nevada. And then you also have Big Bear on the other side, and then you have Baden Powell. And so what my suggestion is, and this is a suggestion, is instead of asking, am I going to need microspikes before I get to this place? Am I going to need microspikes? The question that I would ask, and the question that I ask myself, is, do I know how to use microspikes? Do I know when to use them? Microspikes are not a fix-all. And do I know how to use them, and what conditions to use them in? Do I know how to use crampons? What kind of crampons there is, and how to use them? An ice axe, and how to use it? What conditions are there? And then let's say, for example, I go to Warren Springs and I'm going to Paradise Valley Cafe, and I'm mentioning these areas because I live around the area. So at that point, I can read the forecast. I can try to learn as much as I can about the conditions and say, okay, I need to get microspikes. I need to get crampons. I would much rather, and there are people out there that know much better than I do, but I found out that microspikes are actually very limited in use. Crampons, I think, can be used, can have a better use. But I need to get more experience in it. And the question is, how well do I know this? Not, am I going to need at this point? Who knows? Okay. Who knows what you're going to need? Now, backpackers, when you're doing like a through hike, they have they try to stay as lightweight as possible, and rightfully so, because you're carrying a lot of weight for a very long time. And so a lot of times they opt to do something like microspikes and nothing else. And then you will find people say, I never needed anything else. Well, yeah, because they made it through. But not everybody's going to be able to make it through. So you need to take your own judgment. You need to have your own sense of, should I go this far? Should I wait things out? Should I stop? Should I wait a week? Get off? Come back in? That's the kind of thing that I think is probably more the question that should be asked, not asking somebody else. Not saying, oh, Fuller Ridge. Fuller Ridge is a very popular place as far as being kind of sketchy, because it's a ridge that goes between, I think it's mile 185 or so, all the way to 192, something like that. I don't remember. But it is going down Deer Springs Trail, and then it goes north on the PCT, that's Fuller Ridge. It's very popular, and it's long, it's about 5 miles. Now, Apache Peak is not as long, not that long, but it is very steep and very sketchy, and that's all you need. All you need is a small section of the size of this garage for you to fall down and go down and get, injured or something worse happening. So that's one of the things that I've been thinking about. Learning how to do these things. And then apart from learning how to do these things, practicing and I know that anything can happen to anybody. You know, all you got to do is look at Mount Everest. You can see these expert climbers and expert hikers that have gone up there and lost their lives. So it can happen to anybody. The Pacific Crest Trail, there we go again with the same pattern. I suck. But it's a lot of fun. So the Pacific Crest Trail has gained a lot of popularity, and I tend to, by seeing PCT hikers last year coming up through it, I saw so many that were so unprepared and had no idea what they were doing. Some of them had not even hiked very much or did an overnight backpacking. And I think, if anything, hopefully, if somebody gets something out of this, is that the Pacific Crest Trail is not a joyride, so to speak. I've also been in the desert area where it's been extremely hot, 105 degrees, 100 degrees, while hiking, and no water during the drought, where you wish there was a little bit of water. There is, and you got to carry 5 or 6 liters within a certain period of distance because it's just so hot. You can't even swallow because your throat hurts. You normally don't see that in the years that are a little bit more moist, because you have areas you can filter water, you can carry less water, and it's not that hot. And people, it takes time to be an avid hiker or backpacker, and that is very subjective to the individual and relative to other individuals as far as how experienced somebody is. I don't have an enormous amount of experience with that. With through hiking, I don't have any through hiking. I have some section hiking or parts of sections. And being that I've done it throughout the years and had the opportunity to live in this area and have gone backpacking in the rain, in the snow, and in the desert heat and all that, I have got some experience. But it's only enough to let me know that I need to be very careful. There's something that happens in the outdoors. It can happen at home, but in the outdoors. And that is that, okay, in terms of astronomy, I used to be a stargazer, a member of San Diego County Astronomy Association, and only because I like that sort of thing. There's something called event horizon in astronomy. And event horizon is basically when there's a black hole. A black hole is something that theoretically sucks everything in that's around it. So something can be going around the black hole, and then once it gets close to a certain point where it starts getting sucked in, that's called the event horizon. Once you get to the event horizon, whatever particle that is, it's done. It's going to get sucked in, you cannot come out. It's going to get sucked into this black hole. How'd you like that, huh? Pretty good, huh? Let me see. You gotta get sucked in. Wow. Anyway, that was I wanna hold your hand. I think, I'm not sure. Anyway, I used to body surf, boogie board, and I remember twice I just about drowned. Because I would go and have so much fun, the adrenaline was going, I kept going out, and then eventually one of those times I was getting thrashed by waves over and over, and I knew that that was it for me. I was done. I just didn't have enough energy to get back up, because the minute I try to get back out of the water, here comes another wave. And I thought I was dead. I really thought I was dead. And I just thank God for this other surfer that was to one side. He saw the trouble that I was in. There was lifeguards there, but none of them came. I didn't have the mindset to go help, help, help to the lifeguards, but this guy saw me, and he went with his surfboards. Boogie boards sometimes can stay under the water, at least the one that I had way back when. I'm going back to the 80s, and boogie surfboards stay on top of the water. So he came over and he helped me out, and I was able to get closer to the shore, and I was very embarrassed. Very embarrassed. I mean, I felt so small because I needed help to get out, but he saved my life. I would have died. I know I would have died if he didn't come and help me. That event horizon, when you've gone too far and you know you've done something that you shouldn't have done, and now you're sucked in. The same thing happened to me when I was going down that snow that I was just explaining. Event horizon is what I call it. It's what I call it. It's like I said, it's an astronomical term. And it's when you all of a sudden you come to that realization, oh no, I gone too far. Or if you ever have walked off trail, back in the days before you had the GPS, you're going on trail and you kind of know where you're at. You may have even gotten the declination on your map and compass, and you looked at a certain peak and you said, okay, mile 2 from this peak it's going to be, X amount of degrees, and then over here, and then you keep on going, and all of a sudden you keep on walking, and you get on this trail, and you realize, oh no, where am I at? This doesn't look like something I should be at. And you start looking around, looking at your compass, and you're like, oh crap, I went too far. And then you start looking around to try to get back. And no matter where you go, you can't find the way back. And all of a sudden you get that feeling, that panicky feeling of, oh no. Those things are very real. They really happen. I have a son who lives in Colorado. In 2009, when I was working during the H1N1, another virus, I was working as a CNA in Scripps Hospital in Encinitas, through a agency, but I was constantly there all the time, and I was in ICU. And when I was there, I got a text from my son in Colorado. He was telling me that he had just finished getting rescued by SAR because of him and a friend of his decided to go where the tourists were not, out in the mountains of above Vail, Colorado, closer to the Continental Divide Trail, where they were snowboarding, and he actually got caught in an avalanche. And he was stuck underneath it. He was able to get a little bit out, but he couldn't move. It was just so, he kept on sinking. The more he moved, he kept on sinking. And he was just telling me how terrified he was. And he was telling me that he was snowboarding, and all of a sudden, when you're snowboarding or skiing, you know that the snow just kind of goes by you, or you're going by the snow. He said that everything was still, and that's because he was already in the middle of the avalanche. And then ended up getting rescued. SAR was yelling for him, and he was yelling back, and then, when he was hearing them, and then the guy from SAR, when they finally found him and sticking his hand out, the guy yelled at him and said, what, did you expect a helicopter? What did you expect? And he started getting on him, very upset, very mad, because he knew that he shouldn't have been where he was at. When I started asking my son about what he knew about avalanches and what sort of things can be where avalanches happen, he had no idea. I don't have much of an idea. I listen to, read as much as I can. I have been in areas where there was a little avalanche, like I just said, but I didn't see the avalanche go down. But one thing that I do know, an avalanche could have happened when I was there because it just did before I got there. But it was a very small one. It wasn't those huge things that you imagine you see on National Geographic or whatever. And he didn't know, because he's normally in a controlled environment within the resort. He decided to go outside the controlled environment, and he learned a huge lesson. And that's the kind of thing that happens. So the point that I try to make by this is, don't get into that event horizon. And hopefully I won't. Hopefully I won't. The more you do this kind of thing, the more you learn and the more you stick yourself out there, and it can be dangerous. So the best thing that I can say is have about as much have enough foresight to ask yourself the question, do I know what I'm getting myself into here? Should I go next? And if you can't, don't go. In the case of where my wife and I, Oliver and I, were trying to go to Cucamonga Peak, about 5 days later, it made national news. There was 2 hikers in the exact same area, in pretty much the same conditions, that were trying to make it up there, and they got lost. I have no clue how they got as far as they did, because there's super steep slopes going down. We chose to go back. They, I guess, kept on going forward. And they got lost. They were trying to go down another way because they couldn't go back, or I'm not sure exactly what the whole story was. I talked to somebody up in Mount Baldy that explained something, but unless you, I guess, talk to them, it's pretty hard to say what they were experiencing. But my understanding is they try to get into the city by going a different route, just go breaking trail and go a different route. Then they got stuck, and then they got lost. 5 days out there. They rationed their food, and they were using a life straw. And that happened in the same area that we were at. So if Olive and I would have done that same thing, it's very possible that the same situation would have happened. And these guys were avid hikers. So it can happen to anybody. Okay, I made this video already too long. That was on my mind since I've been here, self-isolating, quarantining, going out and buying groceries and whatever. My daughter is making some masks for her staff at the nursing home that she lives at. Met a lady who, at Joanne's Fabric, who she was making masks for the Ontario Police Department. This pandemic is real, guys. With the police department and nurses, I have an N95. My wife has an N95 because I'm a nurse, and I had one for a previous job, and I had some spares. But yeah, they're making masks, and we're out here trying to get that. So I'm not on the Pacific Crest Trail. It's very sad. So anyway, I don't want to make a video that is just so down, but I do want to make a video that is very real. And some of the things that I hear, find out for yourself. Try to find out for yourself. And if you have some snow in the area right where you live, get up there and stay there all day. Get up in the morning and just go in a little area that's safe. Cross, traverse it on the slope. See how it feels. See how, put some micro spikes on. See how they get packed. See how they help you hold up. If you can, get some crampons, put those on. See the difference. Snowshoes are mainly for thick powder, so you won't post hole as much. And Try that, and then have some lunch or whatever, and then once it gets to be about noon or 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, go back out the exact same place. And I can almost guarantee you that if it's on a regular day, you're going to see a difference. The morning is going to be very doable, feels a lot safer, and then in the afternoon, you're going to be going, oh, this is scary, so things like that. Anyway, I wish everybody the best. I wish that this coronavirus goes away fast and soon, and that everybody is safe. This thing is getting pretty big, as you guys well know. Okay? All right.